Chapter 2. The smell of ashes. The floor of the basement was no longer wood when Lydia stepped down the stairs that morning. Barefoot, trembling, clutching her phone light like a crucifix. She realized it felt soft. Not carpet, not dust. The air had gone still. The heavy kind of stillness that came before a thunderstorm. The smell was strongest now. A sickly sweet scent, like something organic had burned long ago. And the memory of it still lingered in the walls. It crunched slightly, like brittle leaves. But when she bent down to touch it, her fingers came back covered in fine black soot. Ashes. She stared down in confusion. Lydia turned to call up the stairs. Ben, her phone screen went black. The light blinked out. She called again, louder this time. She didn't drop it. It simply died in her hand. Then, from the far end of the basement, where no light should reach, something moved. She didn't hear it. She didn't see it. She felt it. A wave of dread rolled across her chest like water in a sinking boat. Her breath caught. Only silence. A faint crunch behind her. Ben. There was no answer. She spun. But the ash she had stepped on now had a new mark beside it. A footprint. Bare. Wet. And not hers. The panic rose quickly now. She backed toward the stairs, eyes darting around the low ceiling and cracked concrete. Then came the whisper from behind the wall. Down here. Lydia froze. She wasn't alone. She wasn't even the first. There was a groaning sound as if wood shifted deep below the house, far beneath the foundation. Like something turned over in its sleep. And then a scream. Not loud. Not human. Just a sharp exhale of suffering from behind the wall. As if someone had been waiting too long to be found. Lydia bolted up the stairs, two at a time. Ben opened the door. I'm still down here, but the door at the top, the one that always stayed open, was shut and locked from the other side. She slammed her fist against it. They were moving, but the house stayed quiet, and behind her, the ashes began to stir. They weren't dust on the floor. They were remains of someone or something that had once walked these stairs and never left. And now, the ashes weren't just shifting. They were rising. Lydia stumbled back down the stairs, breath frozen in her throat. The air had turned thick, like smoke with no fire. From the far end of the basement, she heard a sound. Not footsteps, a dragging, something slow and heavy being pulled across the floor. She whispered, "Please, no." The wall in front of her, the one with cracks running down its center, began to bulge outward. Not violently, not fast. It pulsed like something behind it was breathing. And then the crack split open. Dust exploded from the seam, and behind it there was another room. Not a storage room, not part of the house. The walls inside were stone, ancient stone, blackened, uneven, carved with strange symbols that seemed to shift when she looked directly at them. The room had no light, but she could see, not with her eyes, with her mind. Something inside wanted her to see. She stepped forward, not because she wanted to, because she couldn't stop herself. Her body moved, like it was being pulled by invisible strings. Inside the room, the air was colder than anything she had ever felt. It stabbed through her skin like knives of ice, encurled. Human. The center of the floor was a circle drawn in what looked like rust or dried blood. At the center of the circle, bones. Small bones. She tried to scream, but her voice stayed trapped in her chest. Then came the whisper again, this time not from the wall, not from behind her, but inside her own head. "You've opened it now." Lydia staggered back, breaking the circle with her foot. A gust of air, burning hot, shot out from beneath the bones, and the symbols on the walls flared red. A shadow rose from the floor. No features. It had no face, just height and rage. The door behind her slammed shut. She was no longer in the basement. She was inside something else now, and it was awake. The basement door was open when Ben woke up. He didn't remember opening it. He didn't even remember falling asleep. But there it was, wide open, with cold air spilling up the stairs like fog. He called out, "Lydia," but there was no answer, just the sound of something ticking below, slow and mechanical, like a grandfather clock buried underground. He grabbed the flashlight from the kitchen drawer and descended. Each step felt wrong under his feet, like the angle had changed slightly, like the house was breathing differently now. Halfway down, he saw something move. A figure, too tall, something not made by the builders of this house, standing at the far end of the basement, where the wall had once been. But now, the wall was gone. In its place was a stone archway, carved old. The thing standing in front of it had its back turned to him. It didn't move. It didn't breathe. "Lydia," he whispered. The thing twitched. Its neck turned first. Not its body, just its neck bending far beyond what any human spine could bear. Its head it had Lydia's face, but the smile was wrong. Too wide. Too still. The flashlight flickered, but the stairs were gone. Then it whispered in her voice, "Ben, you came." He backed up a step. He turned to run. Not broken. Gone. Behind him now was a wall. Dark. Endless holes. Smooth. Seamless. But now, just a few feet away, he turned back. And the thing was closer. Still not moving. "I waited," it said, but with smoke. Black, coiling tendrils that hissed as they moved. Its eyes were empty. And deep inside those holes, something else watched him. Something older. Something hungry. Then it reached out its hand. "Not with skin!" Ben screamed, but the house swallowed the sound. And the thing in the corner smiled wider. Lydia was somewhere else. She wasn't standing. She wasn't lying down. She was floating. But not in water. In something thicker. Like fog mixed with ink. Time felt loose here. Slippery. She could hear voices, but they were muffled, like being underwater during a storm. And then, pain. Sudden. Sharp. Like something bitter from the inside. Her eyes opened. She was back in the basement, on the floor. The circle of bones shattered around her. The walls were glowing faintly red, like they had soaked in blood for centuries. Smoke crawled across the ceiling, but there was no fire. And above her, a trapdoor, tiny, hidden beneath the main floorboards. She hadn't noticed it before, but it was open, and something was crawling out. The shape was wrong. Thin, sharp, jointed like a spider, but too long. Its limbs scratched against the edges of the wood. Its head was a bundle of cloth, like a face wrapped in burned fabric. And behind it, voices soft, chanting, hundreds of them. Lydia couldn't move. Her limbs were frozen. Her chest barely rose. The creature dropped onto the floor with a wet, cracking thud. It sniffed, and then it turned its head slowly toward her. Not with eyes, with sensing. As if it could smell fear. It reached for her with a hand that had too many fingers. But before it touched her, something else rose from the corner of the room. A figure in black, cloaked in smoke. It stepped between Lydia and the crawling thing and raised its hand. The creature shrieked, not in fear, in fury. Then it vanished back into the trapdoor, dragging broken bones behind it. Lydia gasped for air. The figure turned toward her. It had no face, only a mouth, and it whispered, "Don't open it again." Ben didn't know how long he'd been standing there. The basement walls had gone smooth again, like whetstone. The air smelled like rust and mold and burnt sugar. The thing with Lydia's face was gone now, but not forgotten. It had left something behind, a sound. His flashlight was dim now, like the batteries were being drained by something in the air. Scraping from inside the walls. He turned slowly, trying not to breathe too loud. That's when he saw it. A window set into the far wall. The one that had been solid concrete before. It was small, no bigger than a microwave door. But behind it, movement. He stepped closer. The glass was smeared with fingerprints. From the inside, he leaned in, and something leaned back. Not a reflection, a face. Pale, grinning, eyes like cracked glass. He stumbled backward, but the window followed him, shifting, stretching across the wall like it was alive. Then it spoke. From the glass. "Help her!" Ben froze. Lydia, the mouth, smiled wider. "No." Then, silence, and the window shattered outward. Thousands of shards poured across the floor, but none of them cut him. They moved like water, alive, crawling toward his feet. The floor cracked beneath him, and the wall where the window had been began to bleed. Thick, black fluid ran from the cracks in slow pulses, as if the house had a heart. The symbols on the walls flared. Red, then white, then black. Ben ran, but the hallway behind him had changed. The stairs were gone again, and now the only path forward was through the broken window. He leaned in, and something leaned back. A reflection, a face, pale, grinning, eyes like cracked glass. He stumbled backward. He followed him, shifting, stretching across the wall like it was alive. Then it spoke. Glass, help her. Ben froze. Lydia, the mouth, no. Then, silence, and the window shattered outward. Thousands of shards poured across the floor, but none of them cut him. They moved like water, alive, crawling toward his feet. The floor cracked beneath him, and the wall where the window had been began to bleed. Thick, black fluid ran from the cracks in slow pulses, as if the house had a heart. The symbols on the